All right, back to work, everybody. Kurt Busch has joined us here in the Infield Media Center at Daytona International Raceway. And Dawn, I need your microphone if you're listening. There she is. She's on the ball, ready to go. Kurt is our latest winner. He was victorious Sunday at Infineon Raceway, so you got the road course victory you've been looking for, and now a restrictor plate.
Yeah, it was a great win last week for our Shell Pennzoil Dodge, and to be able to bring it home at a road course was even that much sweeter. So neat stuff all the way around with winning. It helps us with padding or creating that insurance policy, so to speak, for making the chase this year. To get a win, of course, over the years and keep adding to that was great. But just the overall team, from the team perspective, to win, it's just great to be able to know that we're doing the right things on the race car to make it fast, and to be able to execute with a perfect plan last week. I guess the only two cars to do the two-stop strategy were the Penske cars. So it was awesome that we had that fuel mileage and the speed to be able to carry through to do that. So coming into the Coke 0400, you know, it's a great sponsor of ours with Coca-Cola on the team, and we want to try to get another check mark, so to speak, off the list, which is to win a restrictor plate points-paying race. So we've got the same car we ran here at Daytona in February. It was a top 5 finishing car. We had a great speed weeks, and not much has changed for the rules package or throughout the garage area as far as the competition side. So we're hoping that we have that strong car like we did back here in February and put our Dodge up front and to see what we can do in that two-car draft to bring it on home first this time around.
Sounds good. We'll go straight to questions. I saw Willie in the back, so let's go him, then we'll work our way back up to the front. Go ahead, Willie.
Kevin, you had, I guess, the good sense to be out in front of much of that stuff that was going on behind you last week at Sears Point. A lot of that happens with one driver taking it on himself to sort of police things, your views on that, and your views on how much of that, is there any carryover from a road course race to a super speedway restrictor plate race when it comes to ill will and ill feelings?
Yeah, I get Kyle a lot, but I haven't gotten Kevin much. It's Kurt. That's all right. That's all right. I look like Kevin. I knew we'd do that. And no, you know, road course racing, it gets tougher every year at Sonoma. Watkins Glen, we see the packs seem to give a little bit more of a appreciation to one another on double file restarts and not roughing each other up. Seems like at Sonoma every year it just gets rougher and tougher each time. But, you know, to be up front and to stay out of the mayhem, that was a goal of ours. You know, I learned that over the years that I can be running 4th or 5th, and you're in a vulnerable spot for somebody to take a shot at you. And does it carry over to the next week? It's always there. Drivers never forget. It seems like each year that you go to those restrictor plate races that you have your friends that you're going to draft with, and then you have those guys that you've had some run-ins with that you don't necessarily want to draft with. But what ends up happening with this two-car draft scenario is wherever you come out off of pit road after a pit stop is, and if you haven't teamed up with somebody, you might end up drafting with somebody that might be on that list of guys you don't like, but you got to do the best you can to win, and you got to put your differences aside for the short term.
We'll go George Pockers and then come up front and get Lee. Go ahead, George.
Yeah, Kurt back here, George Diaz with the Orlando Sentinel. Where exactly do you stand on this new drafting style? Do you like it? Don't like it? Somewhere in the middle?
It's necessary right now. To win, you've got to have speed in that two-car draft. Anytime that you can tell a driver he's going to be 4 seconds faster a lap and he's got a shot at winning, then he needs to do that. And so that's what everybody's doing is this two-car draft. And so I'm for it. It's what it takes to win right now. And as this track gets older, as Talladega gets older, and maybe as we see rule changes come about, we won't see the two-car draft as prominent. But right now it is. It's what it takes to win.
Bob.
Bob Hocker, SingDaily.com. In the celebration last week in Victory Lane, we saw a woman that we hadn't seen with you before. Can you tell us who Patricia Driscoll is? And if anything in your personal life, do you feel has it affected any of your performance this year?
Well, there's been a lot going on behind the scenes, and obviously when you win, people want to take you down. And that's happened this week. You know, I've got some notes and things that I've put together, and all I really want to say about that is, you know, all drivers sometimes have a beef with certain media members or different ones of the print or broadcast media. Things are reported, general speaking, and the vast majority of our journalists are hardworking, responsible individuals who, like us, are trying to do their jobs the best way that they can. And I appreciate that. I also appreciate the fact that until now the media has been extremely professional in respecting the privacy of my personal situation with Eva and I. And although that those in the NASCAR community have been aware for some time now about that we are no longer together and that we are legally separated, while we go through this process, it's been tough. And the upcoming weeks we'll work at formally terminating our marriage. But, we do so with the most respect for one another, and we'll always be friends. And so with that, I'm happy to answer any other questions about the racing side of it. It's just the personal side is just that. There's things going on the personal level. There's things personally within the team that's been well documented. But like I say, performance on track is always the best antidote for putting all of that aside. It's I think the way that we've handled the situation of this sport, we're really good at respecting one another, and I'm happy that I'm an athlete in a sport that really cares about writing about our sport versus writing about our personal lives. The other sports get into the professionals' lives in a very personal way, and I'm glad that I'm in the NASCAR world to work with you guys and to respect that as well. It's tough. We're an entity, but I'm also a person.
Reed?
Reed Spencer with Sporting News. Kurt, you talked earlier about getting the win as an insurance policy. Conventional wisdom before the season started was it's going to take 2 wins to get the wild card. Right now, there's only one guy with 1 win, 11 through 20. Do you think that's different? What's your take on that at this point?
Yeah, I think over the years we've seen guys get into the chase without wins, and that's what this wild card was meant to do. Was that 11th and 12th place group of cars they've been running consistent, but we want to see the winners in there. We want to put a bonus together for those guys that win. And right now, internally, we're supporting that 2 car as much as we can. We want to see Keselowski in that wild card group because he's got to win. But right now he's 12 points on the outside looking in. So it's an insurance package to have that 1 win. And right now we're ahead of a lot of guys. Even if we start to struggle in points with overall finishes, we still have that 1 win to boost us ahead of quite a few guys that don't have those wins.
So do you think you can get in as a wild card with 1 win at this point?
At this point, yes, but the problem is there's 10 weeks to go, and there's 10 opportunities for guys to get that 1 win, or if Kevin continues like Harvick is with his 3 wins, has a great opportunity. He can cruise on easy street, but if guys still add up those wins and he doesn't have that points buffer, it can get interesting pretty quick. But 10 weeks to go with 1 win, we feel pretty solid.
Who's next for Kurt? Anybody? Mark? You win.
Mark Dakotas from Florida today. Kurt, conversely, now that you've got that victory, you go into the remaining races before Richmond with any less pressure on you? You can do anything different than you might have if you hadn't won last week?
There's a little less pressure, but we're not going to do anything different to change the game. We still want to win. We want to compete for wins. And most importantly, that's done with competitive cars that are leading laps. So it's been cool. The last 5 weeks to lead laps, the most laps at 2 events, that definitely gives us the confidence that we're heading in the right direction. And we know there's still certain areas of the team that we can improve and make ourselves even that much more of a threat once the chase begins.
Kurt, Brian Nelson, Motor Racing Network. I apologize. I just walked in. I don't know if you mentioned much about the last 6-7 weeks at Penske and the turnaround there. What was the thing that really kind of pushed all of that so suddenly in the right direction for Penske Racing?
Well, I think we asked everybody at the roundtable discussion this Tuesday, which was a very positive meeting from where our meetings were, on what is that one thing. And none of us could come up with one thing. It was little bits here and there and everywhere. Even Walter Zarnicki was in the meeting personally, and we had some of the other executives that were there to slap high fives on a great win and a good momentum run right now. And there's not just one thing we can point at that has helped us improve. It's just been a wide range of things.
DC?
Mr. Busch is D.C. Williams with the Daytona Beach News Journal. Last year at this time, we came into this track wondering about the asphalt surface and what it would do after we had the 500. There were a lot of questions in mind. This year, the focus is a little bit different. You've had already one race on it, and now you're heading for a second one here. What are your thoughts with regards to the asphalt, especially as compared this time this year versus this time last year?
Yeah, last year it was very interesting with the old surface and still being so focused on handling and making sure that you can try to keep your car wide open all the way around the racetrack. You know, the big bump in turns 1 and 2 was still an issue, and it was that old school who can slide it the best. And now this time around, we've got that grip in the asphalt still. It's still fresh. We'll be able to hold it wide open very easily, and we'll be connected in that 2-car draft. So, I mean, just coming in today and working on radios and to have radio communication with other teams has been the big thing, instead of sitting there worrying about your setup on what you're going to bolt in the car to find that handling package. Right now, it's just about raw speed. So very different between just 12 months ago.
Anybody else for Kurt? Mark again.
Kurt, Mark, Dakotas from Florida today again. Is there another track on the circuit that has frustrated you as much as this place? That you've come so close so many times.
This place has been good for speed and opportunities to win, and yet still been the bridesmaid 3 times in the Daytona 500 and haven't quite had the exact success during the 400 here, but looking forward to it. I mean, there's a track that's named Martinsville, Virginia that I just struggle just hands down at. I just can't find the right niche there. I've won there in years ago, but since then it's just been a struggle of trying to find the right amount of turn versus grip, and I'd say Martinsville is probably my toughest track.
Anybody else? No? Kurt, good luck.
Great,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
visiting with us.